Thank you so much for being here this morning. I'm Suzanne Jacob, I'm Chief Exec of Safe Lives.
If I could change one thing, it would be raising awareness around healthy relationships with all young people, and that is done in as early as possible through schools, through education, so that each young person grows up to understand what a healthy relationship is and has a healthy relationships themselves in their own lives.
If I could change one thing, it would be to put more funding into the education and early intervention of domestic abuse. It would be the idea of going into schools more frequently and engaging with kind of 13, 14, 15-year-olds to look at if there's domestic abuse already in the household, and then also to give some awareness raising for those relationships that they'll be getting into themselves in the very near future.
Personally, my interest is in kind of interventions with perpetrators and how perpetrators are addressed, and I think we need to get better at it, and certainly ultimately it's about tackling the problem.
If there was one thing that I could change, it would be access to support and services for perpetrators at a far earlier point in time, and a more family orientated approach.
The one thing that I think should be done is that more support work should be done in schools, primary through high school, maybe even colleges, about doing direct work and group work with young people and children to help them to recognise the signs of domestic abuse, recognise traits, behaviours of the perpetrator, and help them to recognise what an unhealthy and healthy relationship looks like.
A lack of understanding of the impact that domestic abuse has on the wider scale in terms of all services, there needs to be a definite recognition that preventative work rather than reactive work is really essential. It does seem that there is a lot more funding goes into reactive kinds of work rather than a preventative role.
I think one of the biggest challenges is supporting young people and children when they're actually living in with families when it's abusive between the parents, and managing the risks related to that as well, because children still need support, and I think working with the family holistically is really important in relation to addressing that. I think
start earlier, to get into schools, to teach young boys the way to treat girls, to teach girls about what's healthy and what isn't healthy. And just start at a younger age and develop those values and those standards and those what's right and what's wrong and a lot earlier on.
As a prevention worker, just having more funding to do the work that I do, I'm the only one in my borough that works the way that I do, and just seeing the improvements in the work that we can do is amazing, but there's not enough of us.
From a police point of view, it would be better MARAC referrals from agencies, more detail, contact numbers, just cover the basics so we can get the best thing for the victim then when we put them to MARAC.
It would be the access that fathers get after separation, and the assumption that just because he's a father is okay to have contact with his children, and that the complications around that, I just don't think it should be that instant.
If I could change one thing, I think I would make a much greater emphasis on relationship education for children and young people in schools.
And I think the difficulty for us is in finding the appropriate funding to provide those children's therapeutic services. It's not within the budgets that we get sort of from housing benefit, etc. So we have to source that additionally, which can be quite difficult. And we often have pots of funding, so you'll get a pot of funding for one refuge for children's services, but then you can't then apply for other places, so you're really limited as to what you can access.
I think it's really important to improve the working relationship between statutory and third sector agencies to improve that multi-agency working and ensure that all aspects of support are covered and information is shared effectively.